Chris and Ryan going live. Best podcast, Beauty and the Beast. Sit back and catch a vibe. Oh yeah, we talking zombies and apocalypses and all those things you like. Going beast mode, and if you didn't know, it's Peter Z up on the mic. Whoa, hey, TWD family, grab the snacks about the pantry. Subscribe and like if you can, please, or those walkers eat you like some candy. Hey, okay. You at the right place at the right time. No one does it better, that's the bottom line. Beauty and the Beast, this is prime time. Let's go.
Days in there.
Well, it happened. It happened before we went live. We're live now, so at least it wasn't playing during that. We were improving. And my mic is active. Your audio is active. I think we've done it, Renee. I think we've done a flawless start.
That's amazing.
I got nothing. I'm speechless. That's it, guys. That's the show. Thanks for coming. Yep. Have a great night.
Successful start. We're done.
I'm not gonna push my luck. You know what I mean? What's up, Dave? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah. So how you been, Ryan?
Good. I'm a little annoyed that in New York we finally had Dave can attest to this, being in New York City, but we had a week and a half, 2 weeks, somewhere around there, of beautiful fall weather. We got to a high of 70, 75 around there. Nighttime was about 50 degrees. Beautiful, perfect weather. And this entire week we had an unseasonable heat wave. Oh. And today I think topped out at 95 where I live. It is 7 p.m. right now. Sun is down. It is still 86 degrees outside. Yeah. So I'm a little annoyed, but I'm good.
Yeah, well, we had the threat of hurricane last week, so we had that.
That's a good point. Maybe it's
you take what you get, I guess, right?
Maybe my maybe my complaints are not that important, so I apologize. Hurricane is a little worse.
No, I mean, we just got some wind and rain. We weren't. I mean, they were preparing us because when we were watching the radar, it kind of went up around Florida and came inland here to Georgia for some reason. I'm like, okay, what's it doing? And so, yeah, it was interesting, but we were fine. It wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been, so it worked.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. My friggin' job just texted me. Hold on.
Yep.
I see what I said. Flawless start. Start.
And then now work's going to call you off. But yeah, so I see all these familiar faces. Actually, some faces that haven't been around for a while. So thank you guys for joining us in the chat tonight. We really don't know. We don't really have a major agenda because, 2 weeks ago, we really kind of deep dived into what we were expecting out of the Daryl Dixon series that starts on Sunday. And so today, we can still touch on that because I did get to preview the season and everything. So I have only watched the first episode, actually, because I don't like to spoil it too far in advance. So I did post a non-spoiler review on Undead Walking, so you can catch that there if you'd like to see my thoughts on the first episode, which I thought was phenomenal. I'm not going to spoil anything because I hate that, but it was very good. And yeah, so that's, that was good. And then I got to preview the first episode of Ride with Norman Reedus as well, which Keanu Reeves is on, and
I'm so excited for that.
I know I've been begging for him, those guys, to get him on there. And I know they tried for a really long time, and they're in Utah. Yeah. And I've never been to Utah, but now I want to go to Utah because it looks amazing. And and especially if you're someone who rides motorcycles, you definitely want to get there because it was unreal. And they have they've got a lot of really cool area highways for riding and things. I know there's scenic byways and things like that. But the episode, it's amazing. And I was sharing with Ryan on the pre-show that Keanu and Norman can be brothers. They're very similar in their quirkiness and their sense of humor and things like that. And I if they just decided to make the Ride with Norman and Keanu show, I would watch that all day long.
Yeah, I have always been a huge Keanu Reeves fan. And I mean, that just seems like at first glance, I never would have said, let's stick Norman Reedus and Keanu Reeves together. Never would that have crossed my mind But the fact that it's happened, I'm like, why didn't this happen sooner?
It's something that you needed and you didn't even know you needed. So
Exactly.
when you guys watch that, I think you'll enjoy it very much. I wrote just a quick review of that also, and I kind of commented on social media. I said, if you guys are fans of Norman Reedus and Keanu Reeves, you are not ready for this episode.
Yeah.
So, and then there'll be 3 other episodes with Norman. So there'll be Josh Holloway, and I believe they go to Northern Italy.
Oh, cool.
Johnny Knoxville, they go to Rome, and then I don't know who Adri Law is. I believe an artist, but they go to Portugal. I almost lost that. Yeah, so it'll be a fun, some fun destinations, and just the 4 episodes of that this season, probably just because of filming, and he has been busy. Norman's been busy, doing everything else. So, yeah.
Because Ride is a reality show, they're not affected in any way by the actors or the writer strike. How does that work? You know what I mean?
I guess I don't. That may be a because they're not. Yeah, I don't know.
The writers, it's not written.
Yeah, because they're not. I mean, there's no script. They're unscripted.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they can do with that. I don't know.
And I don't know if reality shows are eligible for anything to do with SAG.
I don't think so. Now that you say that, because they're not the majority. Like in this case, they are actors.
Yeah.
But they're not, like, again, it's not scripted, but like regular reality series, there's generally aren't actors. They're people who, competitors who come on to do dating or whatever it is. So, Christine said that, a lot of them are going as normal, and that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So someone can correct us if we're wrong on that. But so it'll be interesting to see if they are able. I know, they're able to continue with, I'm getting my shows mixed up. They are able to continue filming and production for Daryl Dixon, so then that will probably tie Norman up for, I don't know how far they got into the second season, but they had been filming, but I don't know how far they got before the strike,
Yeah.
So,
and it's interesting too, because like Daryl Dixon, I mean, obviously, like, they're using French writers, so the writer strike is not affecting them, and their actors are a hybrid of English, of American and French, so you know what I mean. It's a weird gray area. So,
but Dave, the Riot episodes have been filmed last year, so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about going forward, and they don't. I mean, they don't write. The reality shows aren't written. They are, they're not scripted. But all the 4 episodes, they were filmed last year. So there was no problem with filming those 4. But anyway, regardless, we're getting a little bit of new content, so we'll just be happy with that. And then the Daryl Dixon series does start on Sunday. Some people, there was confusion. AMC was not forthcoming in how they're going to do this based on everything. Yeah, exactly. It was all over the place because they had posted some things that the episodes would be 3 days early. Then all of a sudden, it just kept saying, everything I read, all the press releases and other things that we get said September 10th, AMC and AMC Plus. And I was like, wait a minute, they would generally pull that out and say on Thursday. And I'm like, wait a minute. But I didn't publish anything the first time I read it because I thought, well, it was just a typo or, whatever. And so then I waited, and so now it's been officially, AMC has confirmed that the episodes will be on AMC Plus on Sunday, not Thursday, as they, like Fear and Dead City have been. But I didn't see this from AMC, but I saw a reliable source posted that it will be on AMC Plus, like in the early, I think it's like maybe 3 a.m. Eastern, I believe, is when it will release on AMC Plus.
Okay.
So don't quote me on that because it wasn't AMC that actually said that but it was a very reliable source who I know has good connections. So you may get to watch it if you have AMC Plus. You may be able to watch it earlier than the 9 p.m. Thing. And the first episode of Daryl is 59 minutes runtime.
That's crazy. When I saw you tell me that was weird.
Yeah, because I when I pulled up the screener, I hit play and I looked away. I'm like, wait a minute, this is longer, Yeah. So it'll be like an hour and 30 on whatever. Because then, right with Normal, I think the start time for that is scheduled for 10:28, I believe. So it'll be right after the Daryl Dixon episode. Yeah. So those will be right doing all of that. So So anyway, it's that'll be basically they're calling it a night with Norman Reedus, since it's a double header. You get all this. And then I don't know if any of you watched the last the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs, I think is his name. They're going to do. They did a Dead City special. He does a lot of horror, like he'll watch horror movies and things and do commentate on them as he's watching them or whatever. So he did that with Dead City, and I didn't watch that one, but they are going to do the same thing with Daryl Dixon on September 15th, and then that'll be on AMC at like 10 maybe or something, and then it'll go on AMC Plus like September 22nd then. So if anyone's interested, and there is a new kind of, I don't know how much new content it has, but it's like the Daryl Dixon diaries or whatever, and they're saying they made it sound like there was some new content to it. So I don't know, it had been out before, like at the end of, I can't remember when those came out. I feel like they came out before part 3 of the last season of Walking Dead, but anyway, it sounds like there could be some new content with that, so you have to check that out on AMC Plus as well. So so they're doing some, and on the drive-in one, Greg Nicotero will be the guest, and he's going to talk about filming in France and things like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to hear his take on any differences or whatever. So so that's the Walking Dead update thing. I think that was the quick and dirty for all that.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of the stuff that I've been reporting on right now is I've just been trying to support all of our Walking Dead actors because they can't promote themselves. So anything that I'm trying to keep up on things, it's difficult because, I got a lot of research because I can't just go to their Instagram page and say, oh, hey, they're going to be in this. So I've got a huge rundown of things that are coming from our Walking Dead actors that are exciting. One of them is... it's an independent film. It's my page won't come up here, guys. Sorry. Amber Dawn Fox. So she played Officer Bello at the Grady Memorial, and she always goes to the camp. She's a huge camp supporter and attends that most years. And so she's in a new movie called Locked In, and it looks pretty creepy and things. And so that is actually available on Amazon Prime Video right now. And if you do watch that, they would, the director, he's reached out to me and he's like, it would just be very, very beneficial since it's independent and all that, if you could put a review on Amazon. And even if, if you can, I don't know who all can put them on IMDb, but if you are able, both, it would be great. You can just copy and paste what you, put on one on the other. But it just helps them, because they are a smaller independent production. So
absolutely.
So that one's pretty cool. It'll, it's just nice if, we can support all of our Walking Dead actors during this time because they can't do much promotion. I've seen a couple workarounds that are very fun. They'll just put a very nondescript photo with a date. So then I'm going in, I'm digging into their IMDb and like, okay, what are they, what is this little thing they're doing here, and that kind of stuff. So, it's, there's lots of stuff.
I mean, I get the strike and I understand why it's important, obviously, and I support the actors and the writers fully. But like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it hurts them personally more than anything. Of course, it's going to hurt the studios and stuff, but I feel like it's going to hurt them also to not be able to support their own work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's already been done. Like, if it's already been filmed and it's cut and it's ready to go.
Yeah. They're not acting at the point. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Making a social media post saying, watch this thing.
Yeah, so, that I did a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of the things, they were filmed, very long time ago, and there was a lot of, post-production stuff that had to happen before it could even be, distributed. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. It'll be very interesting to see how things, if this continues, which it sounds like it will, what will happen next. But another one that's coming out in November is Nick Gomez, who played Tomas in season 3, the leader of the prisoners and things. And again, another huge camp supporter. He shows up to a lot of them. I'm not everyone, but he's been to a lot.
Yeah. And
he always brings his dog and things, and everything. But he is going to actually be in season 5 of Fargo. So this, it's, based on the movie and its continuation. I didn't know a lot about it, so as I was researching it, it's in my queue now to watch because it's so all the seasons are anthology. So it's they're all in the same world, but they're set in different times, different locations, and the majority of the cast is new. There is a little carryover sometimes. I don't know which seasons, but yeah, so that will release on, and I didn't write down, I think that's FX, I believe. I didn't write that down. November 21st, the first 2 episodes, and then they'll do weekly episodes after that. So yeah, so that's one to check out. And if you, all of the episodes or all of the previous seasons are on Hulu, so you can, if you haven't caught up, you can do that if you want. But being an anthology, you wouldn't have to, because it would fit. You could just pick up season 5 and start watching and see what it is.
It's on Hulu. Yeah, I just looked up where to watch it.
Yeah, so that one's there. Yeah, so that I'm excited for that one because and the Coen brothers, who did the movie.
Yep.
They enjoyed the guy's script so much that they agreed to be executive producers on it. So they're heavily involved in the content. So I thought that was encouraging too for fans, for fans of the, original movie and everything. So yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
And Margot Bingham, who played Max, and we, again, another camp person. We've interviewed her a couple.
Yep.
I think we've interviewed her 2 or 3 times. No, just twice.
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So because she couldn't
fall and then May this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So she kind of, I think, we Ryan and I discussed this. We think she told us privately, we couldn't talk about it during the panel, but she is going to be in the new Taylor Sheridan series, Lawman Bass Reeves, and that premieres on November 5th, Paramount Plus.
Yep.
And again, it'll be the first 2 episodes and then weekly episodes. And it's a Taylor Sheridan, but it's not really it's not connected to Yellowstone. Everyone thinks everything he does has to have some, but this one doesn't. This one is kind of cool because it's going to be an anthology again. Lawman is the title of the series, and then they will go through these historical characters. And so Bass Reeves was the first. He was enslaved, and then he got out of slavery and became the first Black U.S. Marshal in the Old West. Yep. And a lot of even the actor, and I cannot remember his name right now, he had said he didn't even know who, he'd never heard of him, but in Coleman Domingo played him in something at one time, and now I can't remember what it was just like a little representation of this character. It wasn't a big, huge role, but I'll have to look that up again. But yeah, so anyway, I think that sounds like a really interesting, and I'm not sure what her character is or anything like that. There's just a name next to her, and it doesn't give a details or anything about her character. But again, another Walking Dead actor we can support.
Absolutely. And it was funny because like we talked about, I'm almost positive she told us that on the side in private.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't talk about it yet, but this one's coming up. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that will be fun I think that'll be very interesting to see. And then AMC has their Fear Fest they do every year in October, but they're actually doing a pre-game for this year, and there's so much stuff coming out. Again, I wrote an article on Undead Walking about it, and it has everything listed and what days and times and things like that. In September, there'll be a new movie every Friday. And there's just a lot of stuff that they're doing even ahead of the actual releases in October for all the horror stuff. But it's all horror related, obviously. But one of them is September 22nd. It's called The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. And Chad L. Coleman, who played Tyrese, he'll be in that. And that one, it's a modern day kind of thing. The girl, she loses her mother and brother to gun violence. And then I was telling Ryan, I couldn't quite understand if another brother gets shot or if this is the first, the only brother. Mm-hmm. But she kind of does a Frankenstein on him. She, Dr. Frankenstein, she is very smart and things and does some, tries to bring him back to life and things. So I thought that sounded very interesting.
Yeah.
So that'll be on September 22nd is when that one, it will come out on AMC. So yeah, I think I thought that one sounded very interesting because they use, Shelley's Frankenstein to kind of get their source material and kind of thing. So it'll be, in keeping with what that story is. So, and I just see Pie just jumped in and she goes, how is she supposed to remember? So we're going to Thursdays will probably be more of a regular thing just because of some schedules. And she doesn't know. So I'm talking about a movie called The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Yep. So it's Chad Coleman is going to be in it. So catching Pie up to speed there. So
Basically,
So, yeah.
Pie, we're just talking about, it's not our usual content, obviously, but we're talking about, like, upcoming movies, heavily revolved around actors and actresses from the Walking Dead universe, but also just other stuff that we're, like, watching, things that we're looking forward to seeing, because obviously right now we're in a Walking Dead lull until Fear the Walking Dead and Daryl Dixon come on, but we're just kind of just honestly shooting the breeze. You know, we're just doing a weekly catch up. That's all.
Yeah. Just figure we gotta get in the habit now because Daryl's on Sunday and we gotta start doing weekly podcasts again.
Yep.
So yeah, and
for 6 weeks.
yeah. Well, yeah, and then Fear will start right after that.
True.
So
yeah.
it'll just flow right.
And
into
I'll sit here and I'll just nod as you and you and Meg talk about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Meg and I will catch Ryan up on Fear because he will not be watching.
Yep.
So, so yeah, I don't know, where was I then? So let's see what else is going on. The camp in May, they've already announced 2 actors.
Yes, they
Chandler
have.
will be returning, which is exciting that he
Very
enjoyed
cool.
it so much. You know, that was his first time last year. Or this, I guess it was this May. So for next May, he will be there again. And he was, of course, a fan favorite. Everybody was so excited. You know, we were able to have a season 1 panel, you know, and that was really cool and everything like that. And then new in May 2024 will be Michael Trainer, who played Nicholas. Wait, Nicholas, is that right? Nick. Yeah, right?
Yeah, Nicholas. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And so
you had me second guessing myself for a second. I was like, yeah.
Oh, I think. So, yeah, he was from Alexandria, and he was the one he just was a crappy guy altogether. And then Noah got killed because to him, and then he almost killed Glenn, and, yeah, it's just a whole bunch of crap. So, yeah, he was. But anyways, we're excited to have the actor at the camp in May 2024. So those are only 2 they've announced so far, but it'll be sure. I'm sure there'll be many more. A lot of the first timers last year loved it so much that they really do want to come back. So hopefully it works with their schedules because that's always it's Memorial Day weekend, and sometimes that gets tough with things. So
it's always cool seeing who comes back, though. You know, it's always a good feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like, I love it when they come back multiple times, but when they come back the second time, it's like they loved it. They came back, that kind of thing. So it's always fun to see that. So, yeah, that's exciting. And
it was funny because like I obviously ran into Ethan, right, and it was right before our panel with him, and I had just gotten my tattoo done, right? And so when I saw him in October and we interviewed him, this arm was empty.
Oh, yeah.
And so he actually had just seen me in the hallway, just randomly passing, and he was like, "Hey, Ryan," remember my name, which is very cool. But then he goes, "No ink?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually." And he starts laughing, and he goes, "I'm very, observant." And I was just like, "Okay." I was like, I appreciate that. I'm like, but that was 7 months ago. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, good on you.
Yeah, he's a great guy. That's Ethan McDowell. He was Washington, one of the Reapers. And he's one of those guys that he's just the most he played such a rough character that you never know what to expect as the person, and he's literally the complete opposite. He's just this very soft spoken, very gentlemanly, it was just it's just fun to see that, that huge difference from the character to the actor.
It's so funny how much they vary from a lot of the actors.
Yeah.
How they all vary from their characters. It's very, very cool to see.
Yeah, it just shows you their caliber as actors, that they can pull this off. They can be a really bad guy, but their natural personality is nothing like that. So yeah, it's really fun to see those differences. Another first-time camp attendee was Madison Lintz, who played Sophia.
Yep.
And her series, Bosch Legacy, that releases October 20th. So that kind of picks up where the last season. I've not watched that one, and so I don't know much about it. But Bosch was the first part, and she was in that too. And I don't know why the spinoff, because it's a lot of the same characters. But again, like I said, I just haven't watched it. But I hear it's really good. Yeah, you might want to check that out and see what that's all about, because it gets a lot of good reviews.
What movie I just saw a trailer for that I'm actually kind of excited to see as far as horror movies is Haunting in Venice.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just happened to just see. I was on IMDb just now looking up some stuff, and I happen to see like an advertisement for it, and I'm like, that movie actually looks really friggin' good.
Yeah, I was sharing with Ryan in pre-show that we just watched the new. I don't know if it's a reboot or what they always have a name for whatever it is, but the new Children of the Corn, and I really liked it. It was creepy, and it was followed some of the similarities of the original, but of course it was a little modern day setting kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, I thought they did a great job with it. I recommend it if you're a fan of the Children of the Corn. It was really good.
I'm excited because I was very skeptical. I'm very skeptical of reboots and remakes and 30-year sequels. Like I'm very skeptical of it because, for a good reason.
Yeah, right. There's reasons for that. I guess I don't understand why we don't like. I know a lot of it's nostalgia, and like for me, I love Halloween, so I don't care how bad the movie is. Like, everybody gives crap to Rob Zombie about his, things, but I always tell everyone, watch the 2 Rob Zombie Halloween movies, as they don't fit. They're separate movies. They don't follow anything, and
because he's got a very unique style.
Exactly, and so just watch those 2 Rob Zombie Halloweens as if they're just 2 separate movies. I mean. And they're good then, they are good movies. I mean, he does, I mean, they're creepy because it's Rob Zombie, but they're good. He did a great job. But, so, but it's just like, let's just do some new stuff too. But,
one of my favorite horror movies is Dawn of the Dead, the remake. Yeah. And that's a George Romero movie. Yeah. And that's like a classic horror movie, right? Go back and watch it under the purview of just being like, pretend that you're a film critic. Mm-hmm. There is, I did the math. I don't remember how. Like I did it a while ago, but there is like 30 minutes of that movie. Not like 30 minutes, maybe like 20 minutes. Is like slow mo. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch it. Every time like a gun goes off, it's slow mo, and it's like so cheesy because of that. But it's still a great, it's part of what makes it a great movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to my daughter about this, she's a film student, and so she, she watches, I mean, I don't know how she watches all that she watches and everything, but she watches a lot of movies. But we were talking about how people get the wrong impression of what a slasher movie or, that kind, that genre, because it's not serious. It's not, it's not a reality thing. These people, how are these, these guys, coming back, these slashers, these serial killers, it's not based on any facts. This is just for fun. And I mean, there's usually a lot of blood, and there's usually and that's what people tune into for. If you want, you want something more, thinky, or if you want something more, like that, then you're going to turn to the Conjurings and those kind, because they're amazing, but those are more like, I guess, supernatural, more than slasher, and so I think people just they need to kind of more focus on the genre of the movie they're watching before they really start, oh, this is a horrible horror movie. Well, it might not be a traditional horror movie. It might be a slasher, which, there's a reason why it's the way it is. Watch Halloween, the first one. It's, there's holes in that plot all day long, but it's cool, and I mean,
it's still a great movie, but it's cheesy almost.
Yes, they're campy, and they're, and that's what slasher movies are, so. Yeah, a lot of times people try to make them too serious. It's like, that's not what we're doing here.
I mean, go back to what, Here's Johnny, right? Like, Silence of the Lambs, right? And, that was so cheesy. That's such a cheesy line.
Oh, you mean The Shining?
The Shining, I meant Shining, yeah. But,
But
it's part of what made it great. You know what I mean? I shit like that, I don't know. I love the Shining. I like all those old movies. Even slasher, horror, thriller, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But part of their the cheesiness is what made them great.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that people have a really warped view of what. Pi, don't even get me started. All right, I'm working overnights right now, and I'm I have a million thoughts in my head. All right, relax, okay, Pi. All right, calm down. Yeah, I think people have a warped view of what makes a good movie nowadays.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think the like I know some of the writers, like the guy at Forbes, his whole shtick is he hates The Walking Dead, but I'm going to write about it anyway because people are going to click on my article,
Yep.
which I read every single one he writes.
Makes sense.
Because they're hilarious,
Yep.
As I don't agree with the majority of what he says. I mean, he does have some valid points, but you know what I mean. Like his whole shtick is I hate The Walking Dead, so I'm going to write about this, and everyone's reading this because of this.
Well,
so
it makes sense. Do you think that every car salesman loves cars?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so like for me, like the first horror movie I ever remember watching, the very first one, it was the original My Bloody Valentine. And talk about a cheese fest. I mean, that movie, but it was so good. It's such a good one, And yeah, so it's just, I don't know. I think it's just the nature of horror films and things. And, speaking of like cheesy movies, I also shared this with Ryan. Came across a movie called Body Bags. And if anyone has watched this in the chat, shout out because I want to know what your opinion is of it. So we're talking like, think creep show-ish and those kind of those type of anthology with the weird stories and the just bad special effects and you got your crypt keeper and your the Tales from the Crypt kind of thing, those kind of things, and so that's kind of what this is, this Body Bag. So it's 4 stories, but the cast is insane. John Carpenter, Tom Arnold is in it, Tobe I think it's Hooper that did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wes Craven, Sam Raimi, Debbie Harry, that's Blondie. Mark Hamill is in it. Twiggy. I'm trying to remember who else. Anyway, just it has a crazy. Oh, and I forgot to tell Brian this too. Greg Nicotero has he's walking a dog in one scene.
Yeah.
So it's just goofy stories, and just to see these people in these, very, just I guess roles that you don't normally see. Like Mark Hamill, that was not it's Luke Skywalker, and this it's just, I'm not going to spoil anything in case somebody wants to watch it. But yeah, they were just fun, goofy stories. And John Carpenter, he portrays the kind of the crypt keeper character, but he works in a morgue. And so it's, it's hilarious to see these directors and things that we know. So, we know all their works and we know all this, horror fans know their movies and, all that stuff, to see them in these roles, which were a lot of, I can't remember if it was, I feel like it was Wes Craven. He was just kind of this glazed-eyed guy that was walking around at a gas station. You know what I mean? It was just funny to see all this. So anyway, it's Body Bags, and I think it was, I want to say it was in '94 maybe. I forget. It was early '90s, and and I'd never heard of it. And the only thing I could attribute it to is I was taking care of a 2-year-old at that time, and movies probably weren't a priority at that.
Makes sense.
So anyway, if you're into that kind of Tales of the Crypt, creep show kind of thing, check it out.
Well, it's funny you said it because we talked about it earlier, but I just got done watching the Piranha movies in order, and Greg Nicotero was involved in Piranhas and Piranhas D or whatever the hell it is, and Piranhas 3D or whatever the hell it is, for the last 2 movies that just came out. But also you mentioned Madison Lintz, so that made me think of it. Matt Lintz is in Piranha 3D.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he plays and he's young. He's young in this movie, and he plays some young kid at the pool or something. And I just remember seeing him. I'm like, looks like Matt, and I'm like, hold on, and I googled it, and I'm like, sure as shit, it's Matt Lintz.
That's hilarious. That's funny. I don't think I've watched those, so I just don't know if I have, but yeah, that's funny.
Becky, do you guys not have the saying in the UK, busting your chops?
Yeah, it might not translate.
Would it be busting your chips? I don't know, busting your crackers? I don't know, what you guys say in the UK, but...
Busting your biscuits. I don't know.
Pie, phrasing, please, for the love of God. Please, for the love of God. Phrasing, people.